Hello and welcome to the Into the Wild podcast. We are so excited to finally bring you the best NFL content and sports topics around the world. You can find us at Into the Wild NFL on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I am your host, Nadeem, along with your co-hosts, Wasé Siddiqui and Adil Siddiqui, joining us all the way from Detroit, Michigan. We have an extensive list of topics, but we're so happy to finally come together for this. This has been a project that we've been working on for almost a year, a little over a year now. And, we've got the best and brightest in the NFL's minds to come together for this one.
Appreciate it.
Aldo, why don't you tell us a little bit of what we're going to get into?
Yeah, sure. Fans of the Black and Blue division, welcome to the Into the Wild podcast. You're going to be hearing from us about our ideas, our thoughts, whatever we think about the game analysis, the draft process, all things to do with football, especially the Black and Blue division, right here in. I was going to say in your lap, right here. You're going to see that right here in front of you on your screens.
Nice. And then today, specifically what we're going to do is we're going to be diving into the NFL draft. It's my most favorite time of the year. One of my favorite things to do is to watch prospects and try to guesstimate and be a GM or a scout and see where they're going to go. So today what we're going to do is putting on our GM's hats on and doing a mock draft for the first round. So stay tuned for that.
So we've got your draft guru right here. We've got your fantasy guru and Adil and Lions guru overall. And we're just ready to bring you the best in Bears and Lions content. So without further ado, we're going to jump into our first segment, Pride Rock. Through the NFL offseason, the Bears have been super active, luring away, you could call them
Off-season champs.
Lion Tamers.
Oh.
Luring away the top offensive coordinator prospect or head coaching prospect on the market in Ben Johnson. They've also made a ton of moves with signings of Drew Dahlman, Grady Jarrett, and there's so much buzz for the fourth offseason in a row, right? But while we are super excited for that, we have to take a step back and analyze this as professionals. So why don't you give us your take on what the Bears have done so far in the offseason and what they can do going forward?
I mean, everything obviously had to do, it started and ended with Caleb Williams. And what we saw last year with Shane Waldron and Coach Eberflus really shitting the bed last year and then wasting basically Caleb's rookie season to establish a foundation for him as a pro. Didn't see that happen last year. And so now we get to see what happens with great coaching that we all think and believe and hope what Ben Johnson and the coaching staff that he brings with him. Not only did he bring a superstar defensive coordinator with Dennis Allen, a former head coach, he brought himself, I think, what was the most important position coach in Dan Rochar as the O-line coach, and excited to see how the offensive line takes it to the next step from there. Obviously, the additions of Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson, along with the big free agent signing and Drew Dahlman. We're excited to see how the interior looks now, and then maybe hopefully we can see Darnell Wright take the next step. Watching him coming out of college, I thought he'd be a future All-Pro. I think he does it sometime soon in the future with Dan Rochar and the rest of the group. So really excited to see that. We also saw additions on the defensive line with Dio Adangbo, and as well as Grady Jarrett. Yeah, saw Grady Jarrett as well too. Grady Jarrett, not the most excited about Grady Jarrett, but hey, he's a veteran that the defensive line needed. He's a made man in this league. He's been to a Super Bowl before, and gives us depth in a position that we did not have originally last year. We lost Andrew Billings, and basically the run defense went to shit. We're still waiting on Javon Dexter to take the next step as well too. So he's a good buffer for that. And Dio Dangbo, opposite side of Montez Sweat. He's not the sexiest signing, but we're seeing a guy who's basically ascending as a player, and hopefully we could see Dennis Allen and group put them in favorable positions to take off and be valuable resources next year. So yeah, that was the greatest thing. And now we're just looking forward to the draft and seeing how we shore up the offensive line or the defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, we had one of the worst seasons in our history last season. But another team that was on the flip side of that was the team that we're chasing in the Detroit Lions. They had a spectacular.
Chasing's a strong word, buddy.
The last 2 years, they've been one of the favorites.
Would be the accurate word, I think.
And
the accurate word, as you guys wake up on those Sunday mornings and just
you're derailing the show, buddy. You're
Oh
derailing the
boy,
show.
today's the day we get to today's the day we get to prove something. If we get within two scores, we'll have proved something to ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, on that point, Adil, take us through what the Lions have done this offseason, how they're looking forward, and, coming off of that derailing, absolutely bone crushing, and devastating playoff loss. How do you bounce back from that when the Super Bowl was right within your grasp?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something that obviously hurts all Lions fans across the board, right?
That
It's a game where we should not have lost in any way, shape, or form. However, with the injuries
you
that
did.
piled up, yeah, absolutely. With the injuries that piled up, that's something that actually absolutely affects and takes its toll throughout the season. So they limped their way to the number one seed. They kind of shoot their wad, in a really embarrassing fashion here. The coaching was terrible in that game. The player performances were absolutely below par.
Oh my
And
god.
what can you do but at least just say we need to
Create more
reload and
excuses.
start up again?
So,
Yeah,
how do you think the
absolutely.
Lions went about that this offseason? I mean, they lost both coordinators. How can they prevent a 2023 Philadelphia Eagles collapse?
Well, I don't think that there's going to be any issue so far as the Lions are concerned. They're a well-run organization at this point. They
Wow.
are in year four.
Well run
uh, th-
organization. Oh
they're in
god.
year four of their entire revamp. The ownership had changed. It got passed down to Sheila Hamp. They got the right people in the building to actually build from the ground up. They have probably the best coaching staff in football, or top three coaching staff in football. And obviously, with the loss of Ben Johnson, that would hurt quite a bit. Aaron Glenn, even though he had those guys playing pretty well at the beginning of the season, we have 3 years of tape of Aaron Glenn not really succeeding as a coordinator. I feel like we may have just upgraded at the coordinator position on the defensive side of things. With that being said, the Lions still have probably a top five roster in the NFL. They're known to draft well throughout the Brad Holmes era. This is something that I know that the Lions will be able to bounce back from. They've historically hired great coaches. Dan Campbell has an uncanny ability to create, build off of those relationships that he's created throughout the NFL, to bring in the right people, to have the same mindset, to have all that alignment from the top down of the organization. So the Lions, I think, will be in good shape. You'll see them vying for the number one seed probably again, and you'll see that the Lions will probably have to show what they're made of, right? There's no longer the first season you were the underdogs, the second season you were the overconfident, cocky group, and now you're at that point where excuses can't be made anymore. You got to make it to the Super Bowl, or that's it for you.
After he listed a bunch of excuses. Look at that.
What
God.
excuses? You guys asked me for the state of the franchise. I gave you an entire list.
No, it's just bad.
It was a pretty good address, but um, I'm curious as to why you think you have a top three coaching staff in the league after you lost both of your league coordinators.
It's just Lions delusions. Like we have that. We've seen this around like social media
So
as
I
well
have a
too. These
question.
Lions
I
fans.
have a
Stop.
question.
These
I have a
Lions
question,
fans do
Wasé.
not understand reality. Like they think that, oh, Ben Johnson's not going to leave us, and he shops at my grocery store, and he loves us, and he loves Detroit. He's not going to leave us for the Bears. Left us for the Bears. Aaron Glenn. I mean, I don't think anyone wanted him to say anyways, but they just thought like, oh, we're building a culture here, and people are going to take pay cuts and yada yada yada. Detroit Lions fans are so out of touch with reality. It's the funniest thing in the world. He said we have one of the best coaching staffs. Okay, the roster's pretty good. And the coach, honestly, I've told you this time and time again, he's a meathead. I'm sorry, I don't want to derail this, but I'm just letting you know, your cheeks, you always will be cheeks, and this year we're coming. So, see ya.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that the Bears always show that sort of they always show that sort of, bravado in the offseason. Like I said, you guys win every offseason. Every single year you guys have projected 13 wins.
Hey, we're
I
winning
think I
something.
I mean,
We're winning something.
you win the first pick in the draft quite often. You guys draft high and
Once,
draft
yeah.
poorly, draft high, draft poorly, and have fired coaching staffs in repeated off seasons. But I guess the Lions are the easy target. I guess somehow. I think the best thing that ever happened to you was that you guys traded for the first pick in a year when Caleb Williams was going to come out. That being said, as far as the Lions coaching staff is concerned, we had 15 coaches that left the team to get hired elsewhere in higher positions. So as far as that's concerned, I think you guys do understand that you guys had Ben Johnson on your wish list for the last 2 years. You were hoping that Eberflus didn't get fired last year, so that you had a shot at Ben Johnson. So that's pretty rich coming from you guys.
There will be
F this guy.
plenty.
I don't wanna talk to this
There's
guy.
going to be plenty of time and bickering between us Lions and Bears fans, particularly these two who go at it almost every day, it seems like. But now
This is a
we're
toned
going
down
for it. So
version,
make sure to
actually.
tune in every week. We'll have weekly episodes, and half the show probably will be Adil and Wasé going at it. But now it's
Can I
time.
just comment on something?
Yeah.
Aren't you proud of us for keeping it a little like buttoned down and not going off like crazy at each other like how we
If it
normally do?
resembled our chats, oh my god, it'd be terrible.
I
It
mean,
wouldn't
it's the
be.
first episode, so there's a long way to go. Let's make sure we get here every week. So
Hey,
without
I went to therapy. Okay, I know how to handle someone as delusional as Wasa.
So, something that we can all agree on is that the NFL draft is one of the best times of the year. You get to break down all of the college tapes. Wase has a list of 177 players where he goes in depth to. So, if you guys need a draft guru in the NFL, I've got one right here for you. It could be a future GM, who knows? But without further ado, let's get into our first mock draft of the season. Now we're going to have our first ever mock draft. The way this is going to work is after pick one, we're going to go person by person, and we're going to take turns choosing each pick. We're going to talk about it. If anyone has any insight, they can chime in. But that's how we're going to base this off of. Overall, at number one, the Titans are going to be on the clock, and they've pretty much let it known already that they're taking Cam Ward. They've canceled workouts with the likes of Shedeur Sanders, and they brought in some offensive line help during the offseason. Yeah. So I think it's pretty unanimous, guys. Is that?
Yeah, it's fair to say.
Yep, that's
he's
fair
a
to
more
say.
quarterback prospect. They need a quarterback. Yeah, it makes sense. All the sense in the world. Yeah, so let's just draft Cam Ward.
Done.
Yep.
Taken care of.
All right. I'll go for it at 2. This is interesting. The Browns paid Myles Garrett this offseason, and they have 2 blue chip players. Not many blue chip players in this class, probably like 5 to 7. But there's the choice between Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. I am huge on Abdul Carter. I just think he's the best player overall in this draft. I'm not going to go generational because that's such a word that's thrown out in every single draft these days. But I really do see some of the Micah Parsons traits in him. He had a great year, and I think he's going to be lethal, especially across the line from Myles Garrett. So I'm going to go at 2 of the Browns take Abdul Carter.
Even with the injury?
Even with the injury.
Nice.
I mean, look what he did in the playoffs with the injury. Just a game wrecker.
Post-surgery, though. I mean, I like Abdul Carter. You know me. I like Mason Graham over everybody, but that is not the case for this pick over here.
I actually would have agreed with you, Wase, that as far as the number 2 prospect on the board, that's Mason Graham. I'm sorry, not number 2, number 1. The only reason why the Titans are choosing Cam Ward is because that's what they need to do. They need to reset the QB position. The number 1 player to me, Mason Graham's put 3 years of great tape. He's never had a bad year. He's been solid. Yeah. He's been one of the driving forces on the national championship Michigan team. I just think that anyone who lets Mason Graham slide past 5 is making a big mistake here.
Yeah, of course. And the Browns can go either way. I mean, they have Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter or even Mason Graham.
Do you think Mason Graham is in question for the Browns here?
It's possible.
Yeah,
you already have
absolutely.
Myles Garrett. You already have Myles Garrett, but I think Abdul Carter is a safer prospect just considering length, size, athleticism, production in college. Whereas Mason Graham is, he has the shorter arms at 32 inches. He is a little bit smaller. He's more of a tweener size type defensive tackle. But they could also use a defensive tackle too. But I mean, I think the hype that Abdul Carter's gotten the past couple weeks, I think is warranted as where he's drafted at number 2. So,
all right, let's throw it over to Wasé for pick number 3. This is the New York Giants.
The New York Giants. Oh man, I don't even know, man, because they need quarterback. But I don't think there's a quarterback in this draft worth drafting at 3.
So should we force a trade?
No, I mean they're still talent deficient, right? I think they drafted Malik Neighbors last year. They traded for Brian Burns for another edge piece. Their defensive line is fine. They got 2 edge rushers and a nose tackle, as it is in what's his name, Dexter Lawrence. They drafted a cornerback in the first round 2 years before that in Banks. Dude,
They
where do
also
they
went out and they picked up the corner from New Orleans in order to, shore up that position. I really don't think Travis Hunter goes here, unless he's going wide receiver, right? They're playing him kind of as a wide receiver 3, given a lot of weapons for Russell Wilson to deal with.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, to help that, honestly, like, Ashton Genty doesn't make no sense, but I'm sure Giants fans don't want to see a running back being drafted at number 3. This is rough, man. I don't know why it's taking me a lot longer to think about this one, because I feel like all the mocks have like the Giants say they're taking Shador or someone else, but I think they should go best player available and go. Yikes, man! I don't even know. Let's go. Let's mess it up. Let's go Ashton Genty.
Whoa,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
They passed Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, they don't need another wide receiver. They don't need another.
He'll play corner. He's going to primary play
but
corner.
I mean, I feel like they've already
They brought
invested.
Debo.
They bought, and they already have Banks from 2 years ago from the first round.
Who hasn't been good.
He hasn't been. I mean,
Yeah,
but no,
that's fair.
I don't think he hasn't been. I don't think he's been terrible either.
Ashton Genty at the 3 is one of the more wild ones I've seen. But Adil, why don't you take us away to New England?
I like that Ashton Genty pick because it shows to me that the Giants are trying to create a balanced offense for Russell Wilson. Throw in, who is it, Devin Singletary out there again? I just don't think that that's going to be anything good for a balanced offense. Russ needs a run game. I see Ashton Genty going number 3 to the Giants.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
I wouldn't be shocked,
Really?
especially with the saltiness of losing Saquon.
I can't see it.
You
not
get
see
a
this.
bona fide star who a lot of people consider Ashton Genty being like an all-pro type talent. Maybe I think he's a future Hall of
But
Famer.
with the
He's so
running
good.
back depth in this class, you're taking a running back at 3.
If we weren't,
when you have so many other needs on your team, this isn't a team that's ready to plug and play offensively with a running back.
Do you reach on Shador, or do you
see how they don't take Travis Hunter?
Because you don't go Mason Graham. They don't need a 3 tech. They don't need an edge rusher. They don't need. I mean, I guess you could say Travis Hunter, but do they need Travis Hunter?
They need him more than they need Ashton Genty. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for Travis Hunter there. I'm just saying, if I were getting into the mind of the New York Giants, I would say, hey, let's make sure that we put some offense together. I think their jobs are on the line. Their defense was pretty solid last year. Their defense was pretty good.
Also, the reason I don't think that they can go with a Shador or a project right now. I think they have to try to get the team and the roster to win now. That's
so
also
the
why
shirt.
I also don't see them trying to trade out of this pick, because I think that they take that blue chip best overall player. And if that's Ashton Genty to them, it could be.
Yes.
But then Adil, does the New England Patriots, they seem like they have a pretty home run pick right here, because there's no way they thought that Travis Hunter would fall to them.
So here's the reason why I disagree with you. I don't think Travis Hunter will be a top 4 pick. I think that Travis Hunter doing the two-way stuff is not going to fly in the NFL. Travis Hunter is going to have to be primarily one position or another, and I think he'll stick to cornerback. He'll come in those special packages, those 3-wide packages on offense when he needs to. I just don't think that the Patriots are going to take protecting Drake May lightly. I think they draft Will Campbell.
Oh my God!
Wow! So Travis Hunter is falling all the way to 5.
That's crazy.
Here's my thing. Right? If Will Campbell doesn't work out at tackle, Will Campbell can kick it inside and go guard.
Yeah, but
they need help all along the lines.
The positional value of a guard at 4 is insane. Because I don't like Will Campbell that much. I do buy into the idea that his arms are too short. There are some people that think that he can play tackle, but I feel like you really got to make sure he hits that. And I feel like Travis Hunter is a better prospect right now, priority prospect.
One more point that I do want to make, and then we'll move on. Will Campbell played in the SEC against the best defensive end talent, and he did well. He's a great pass blocker. and they need to. And that's totally fine. There's a lot of people who had T-Rex arms who ended up, being successful in the NFL. It's about the game, right? How well do you play it? This guy, Will Campbell, has always produced. I think that that's a surefire pick there.
Oh man, wow. I mean, I am not the biggest Travis Hunter stan by any means, but I gotta say, I don't see a world where this happens. I don't think that he's going to fall to 5.
Well,
But fair,
I
we're there.
think. Well, I think
So
that's a good transition into this pick because some team right here really needs a cornerback.
yeah, they need cornerback. They need a receiver help. I mean, can you imagine Travis Hunter next to Brian Thomas?
Yeah,
How lethal would that combo be on certain packages? But that's happening here. Can't go. I mean, in all the mocks that I've seen, and what I actually do believe is that Mason Graham to Jacksonville is almost set in stone.
Yeah.
It's almost like the contract's already put on paper and we're ready to sign it. But Travis Hunter here would be Jacksonville's dream because, over 3 years, he has been really good in terms of defensive metrics, offensive metrics, you name it. He has gotten really high PFF grades. And there's no two ways about it. It's Travis Hunter here for sure for the Jags. And now going to Las Vegas. So we're already way off the rails for what I was expecting. But let's talk about the Raiders.
Because I don't think they go with Mason Graham. They just signed Christian Wilkins last year to like a huge deal. And they have already invested in the first round pick to Tyree Wilson. They already have Max Crosby. Sorry, they actually need cornerback. And I think they released what's the guy's name yesterday? Like Nate Hobbs. What's his? I think Hobbs. Nate something. They released him yesterday, so they need cornerback pretty badly. I always thought that they liked Will Johnson out of Michigan. Thought that was the best pick for them. I would double down and say, yeah, Will Johnson. I think Mason Graham would fall in this scenario.
Do you have Will Johnson over Jahdae Barron?
Yes, I do. Jahdae Barron to me is a nickel corner.
So is Will Johnson.
Will Johnson's not a nickel corner.
I mean,
I don't agree with that.
He's press man. He can play any position in the cornerback. Any
in the DB room, right?
Yeah, any position in the DB room if you wanted to. I mean, he's an outside corner. He's locked down. I think he's gonna be great in that Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom type defense. He's one of the best cornerbacks out there. One of the best cornerbacks I've seen in quite some time. I don't understand why his stock is dropping, but he'd be a home run pick for the Raiders.
So that's where we're going. Will Johnson.
Will Johnson for me.
Will Johnson.
So the first Michigan man off the board.
Yeah, and it's
not Mason Graham.
We're gonna get cooked in the comments for this.
Yeah, Will Johnson here seems a little high to me, especially based on the overall his production the last 3 years has declined. You have to say he's got the length, he's got the size, but he hasn't tested well.
He was injured.
And the injury, so we'll see that. But also, I mean, he is more of like a zone scheme corner, so
yeah, he's not the type of guy who's gonna follow you. I think he could, but I
believe that he can.
That he cannot take. I think Will Johnson's one of the most safe, and I think he's people have started taking him off like that blue chip prospect list. But from the beginning of the season to now, to me, he's still a blue chipper. What he did in the national championship game against Roma Dunze, he made it really tough on him. Honestly, Dunze got a couple catches on him, but I still think Will Johnson held his own. And this year he was injured, so I don't really hold that against him. I think a lot of those Michigan guys were just protecting their draft stock. So I think he's much better than what people actually think that he is.
Then you don't think that Jahdae Barron falls into that same category?
Jahdae Barron to me is more of a nickel cornerback, and I think he's specifically just his own corner. I don't think he can play a lot of. I'm sure he could play a lot of press.
He can't follow the number one receiver. That's
he
for
can't
sure.
follow, but he can also go out and play safety.
Yeah, but again,
that's true.
You're not drafting a safety in the top 10.
Yeah.
If Kyle Hamilton's not making it,
I also think that the left side of the line right now is pretty solid for Oakland or Las Vegas, but they could go with an Armand Membu or
they could, yeah,
to shore up that right side. But let's move on to the Jets. New York, you're on the clock. Let's see what Adil has for you.
So, I mean, you know how tempted I am to get Armand Membu right now?
I think that's
It makes sense.
Finally, we're at a place where a pick that makes the most sense is actually happening.
Because Graham
And
too.
and seeing Graham here, while they do need help on the inside, right? I just think that Graham is what exactly they'd be not Graham, I'm sorry, Armand Membu is what they would be looking for in order to have a good offense on the field. Like the product has been so poor. They brought over the Lions' tight end um, coach and passing coordinator, Tanner Engstrand, and I think that with Aaron Glenn's whole idea of trying to build through the trenches, the formula that every NFL team follows, but coming from the Lions, that was very much stressed. I don't think that Mason Graham goes here. I like Armand Membu. I think that they're going to try and set up where even if Justin Fields doesn't work out, they'll have a quarterback who can step in and really elevate them whenever they get to that point. So
And they already
Membu
have
to
Quinn
the
Williams.
Jets.
Yeah, they don't even need
Mhm.
him.
That was a pretty easy one. So you're sitting at 8 right here, and I don't see the Panthers trading this pick. But if you're the Bears, you got to move up 2 spots and you get Mason Graham.
Yeah, you absolutely 1000% do it.
Have to do that.
Yeah.
And you know what? Crazier things have happened in this mock draft. So let's do that. The Bears are going to trade up and take Mason Graham at 8. We'll probably have to give up.
The draft. Well, if you look at the draft value chart, I think a third round pick can do it. I think a third round pick is something that would be enough to move forward, move up with that draft pick. I don't think you need a second. Doesn't take that much because if you remember the Darnell Wright trade, it went from a future fourth.
8 overall is 1,400.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we're at 10 with 1,300.
Oh, it's only 100 points?
Yeah, it's only 100 points.
Oh, wow.
You could get there with a 4. You could get there with a late 3, but we don't have late 3.
So let's give a future fourth.
Let's do a future 3rd.
Oh, yeah,
I'm doing future third instead.
Yeah, future 3rd.
Because on the Bears, I need my draft picks this year.
Yep.
So here you go. We forced that trade, and the Chicago Bears are on the clock to take Mason Graham.
You know how happy I'd be if we got Mason Graham?
That's crazy. And I thought the Bears pick would take a lot longer, but let's talk about it a little bit. We've got guys like Kelvin Banks. You got guys like, obviously Genty's not there anymore. You have Simmons from Ohio State, who is a project right tackle. So you could fill that post Braxton Jones life with this, but when you have a blue chip like that, it's all about blue. I mean, we saw, you could have positional value here and there, but it's all about the blue chip players at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So the Bears are going to trade up and they're going to take Mason Graham. The Saints are on the clock.
I think that's Wasé.
This is kind of the start of the Shadur Sanders territory for me.
It is, but I still don't think Shadur Sanders is good enough to go to the Saints. I don't even think he's the second best quarterback prospect in the class. I like Jackson Dart a lot, but I think, man, I'm really considering Tyler Warren. I'm considering Tet's still on the field too, or Tet's
I think Tet.
Oh man,
yeah, they don't need wide receivers.
They don't need.
Ooh, damn. The Saints, man, what do they need? I feel like they need everything, but they don't quarterback is probably the main thing. But I also don't want to reach when I have a blue chipper like Tyler Warren there. Obviously, they don't need tight end.
They could use help on the interior. They could use help on the O line.
Yeah, O line. Armand Membo's already gone. So is Will Campbell. Okay, so the right side is who else is out there? They got Fuaga last year. They still have Ryan.
You got Josh Simmons, Calvin Banks, Josh Connerly.
But Fuaga plays left tackle, and Ryan Ramchek's still one of the best right tackles in the league. They still have a good center. I think interior O-line is what they need, but they also don't really need that. Honestly,
this could be a place for like a Kenneth Grant.
No, I mean they got Brezzy the 2 years before, and then they have Kalen Saunders already at their nose tackle spot.
Could be a place for Jahdae Barron.
Oh, they lost Adebo and they lost
Marshawn Lattimore.
And Lattimore, yeah. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's do Jahdae Barron because they've lost. They still have Volontae Taylor. He's their nickel back. You know what? Let's try Jahdae Barron out on the outside corner. Maybe I'll eat my words. And they have another cornerback to cover.
So the
NFC South.
Panthers are now on the clock, and then 2 trades with the Bears. We got Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Mason Graham.
Oh my
the list
God.
goes on.
Sammy
Maybe
Jones.
remontada for Tyreek Stevenson. But Aldo, what do the Panthers do here?
They go and they get the best edge defender probably in the class,
Whoa, Mike Green.
Mike Green. And the reason why I said that is because Mike Green, despite all the, off the field issues, he produced. He was such a force over at Marshall. Now I know the level of competition isn't really there, but his move set to get free off the edge, every single pass move is just so darn crisp and clean. I think that
Yeah.
Mike Green rose in the draft as people started watching the tape for a reason. This is one of the best prospects. This almost blue chip level, really. And the only reason why I'm not saying he is because he played at a smaller school. Mike Green is the pick here, in my opinion. And if it wasn't for that trade back, then I probably would have chosen Mason Graham.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I felt like in my notes about all the top 10 prospects, I had put Mike Green up there, but I was like, yeah, the allegations and honestly his size, he's like only I think he only has 32-inch arms. He's like 6'3". He's a smaller dude, but man, the moves that he has as a pass rusher coming out is honestly, I think like the spin move, the cross chop, everything that he already has with the speed to power moves that he already has, he's close to a blue chip to me as well, for me as well. So yeah, that's a solid pick. It is that what scheme do the Panthers play? Because for me, I know people want scheme. There's like people are like, oh, scheme doesn't matter, and to me it does. I mean, I feel like to me he's an outside linebacker, and I think the Panthers do play a 3-4 if I'm not mistaken.
3-4, yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, solid pick.
All right, so back to Nadeem with the retooling San Francisco 49ers. They could possibly go all over the draft here. Where do you
They can
think the
do, yeah,
49ers
they
go?
have a ton of ways that they can go. I have so many needs for the 49ers right now with an aging O-line, with an aging defense. But one of the players that I think is going to be the draft's kind of unsung steal is Jalen Walker out of Georgia. I feel like he is one of these athletic freaks, a versatile player. I like these type of guys. You know, you have your Deion Jones, your Isaiah Simmons. I know Isaiah Simmons didn't really pan out, but I always thought he was better in coverage at safety. Jalen Walker can play both off-ball linebacker and edge, and he is an athletic freak. He seems to be one of those like natural pass rushers that can just get to the quarterback off the edge, but because of where he was throughout his Georgia career, he kind of went all over, and I see him as somewhat of a hybrid player.
Yeah.
And I think that with Nick Bosa on the edge, I feel like 49ers could really use someone like this because they can pair him up with, mentorship from Fred Warner, but even that natural instinct can help them get to the quarterback off the edge. And this will be kind of like a Swiss Army knife for Robert Saleh coming back to San Fran. So I love Jalen Walker here. And I think he has the potential to go even higher in the draft.
Yeah. I think like especially with the departure of Trey Greenlaw, as well as needing like a chess piece especially for that type of defense that Robert Saleh runs. I think Jalen Walker's a solid pick. I think he's more of like a guy that you're betting on like his potential. I don't know that the 49ers need to go defense right now. I mean, they need a lot of offensive line help as well too. I probably would have gone there as well, but Jalen Walker is also a solid pick. This is probably where the draft kind of tapers off, and you're considering, now you're just banking on someone's ceiling and then banking on someone's ceiling, but hoping to have a high floor at this point of the draft. So, let's keep it going.
Yeah, so Wasé, you're coming up with your Cowboys. There's a bunch of ways you can do this. There's the name on the top of the board. That's kind of sexy.
Tet right now is like what every Cowboys fan wants.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Tet would be great. Add more offense. Hell, even Tyler Warren would be great right now. Tyler Warren's on the goddamn board. Damn, this is hard. I don't know how you take Tet over Tyler Warren, though.
You don't.
There's other
You take someone else.
I don't know.
You take someone beside those two. And I know that Jalen Walker is your freak athlete who's all over the place, who's in coverage, who can rush the passer. Another player out here who's pretty good on the outside, Jihad Campbell.
Yep, that's what I was
No, they
thinking
don't. They
too.
don't need Jihad though, because they already have
If they ship out Micah, they ship out Micah.
No, Jihad Campbell is like in his purest form. He's a middle linebacker. He's not going to be what Micah Parsons is. Micah Parsons is is like the second best edge defender in the league. You're not giving him up for nobody. You're gonna sign him like Jerry always does and overpay for the guard.
They can play side by side. There's no problem in that. I don't
Jihad
mind
Campbell
Jihad and
can,
Micah there.
see now Flus is now the defensive coordinator for the
He loves
Cowboys.
his coverage linebackers.
He does, but DeMarvion Overshone, who did leave the season last year, he was injured and went on IR. Fortunately, he's had a very injury-marred career so far. I still would not draft middle linebacker that high. I don't go off-ball linebacker in the top 12 or whatever the hell it is. 12th, yeah, 12th.
Yeah, but you also wouldn't do a lot of what's happening in this draft.
Yeah, but no. I mean, you can make a
running
case
back
for
at
every move we
3,
made.
A guard at 4.
I mean, left tackle at 4. There's like quote
Left
unquote.
tackle.
We're projecting him to be that, but I want to say Tet because we need another receiver for Dak. No more Gallup, no more Brandon Cooks. We have Schoonmaker and Ferguson, so we're not gonna go with Tyler Warren, obviously. O-line, we spent one.
Why not? The
think
Raiders last year went Brock Bowers, and then before that, I think they had Michael
the year
Mayer.
before, but Brock Bowers is different than Tet.
They're not on the same level as what you're saying.
Tyler Warren is just like for me. It's like he rose so high, so quickly.
It was like almost meteoric.
Yeah, and I'm just
and
like,
it's due to Brock Bowers' production, if we're being honest. Like this would not have happened if you didn't have another rookie tight end that was taken last year that just lit the league on fire.
If Warren was more consistent like this, like Bowers was, like I just and I understand last year's draft was crazy offensively. I just do not see Bowers. I don't see Warren. Warren doesn't deserve to go over Bowers. That's my opinion. No matter how great of a football player he is and all the mismatches he could do.
Oh, it's not even a question. Though.
I'm going to go
no
Tet McMillan. Yeah,
Good.
I'm going to go Tet McMillan.
I like that.
We need wide receiver. Cowboys fans will be happy. So now no more CD being double teamed and bracketed. We have another guy that can. I think he's the best receiver in the draft.
I also feel like names like Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan could be thought about here. They need the help in the interior, but Tet is a good pick. It's going to make a lot of Cowboys fans happy. It's a very Jerry Jones-like pick.
Oh, yeah. Sexy.
Number 13, we're at the Miami Dolphins. Aldo, where do you see them going?
Ooh. So I have a question. Teron Armstead retired, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they drafted Patrick Paul last year in the second round. So he's a left tackle.
It doesn't matter. I think there's an easy pick here.
I think Josh Simmons is your pick right here.
Yeah, but you don't know what Josh Simmons' patellar tendon though. Is he completely healthy? I mean, you also don't draft Patrick Paul in the second round and then be like, hey, we're just going to give up on him for Josh Simmons, who we don't even know if he's healthy or not. That's insane. I would not. Especially with next year's there. Kelvin Baker's not a left tackle in the league. Especially with next year's tackle class being better than this year's tackle class, I think you try to kick the tires on Patrick Paul and see where he goes. Again, you're drafting, so you pick whomever. But that's just my thought on the Dolphins.
Listen, I don't think that the Dolphins take it lightly to protect Tua, seeing as they paid him and he still gets injured. They feel like they have a big hole there. Josh Simmons is highly touted. Before the injury, he was playing lights out. And he can get tested late in the season during, when it was crunch time. The Big Ten was getting pretty rough. I think he was out for Penn State, Michigan, and was he out for Oregon? I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. So I understand the question surrounding Josh Simmons. I just think that he was probably in line to be the first tackle off the board had he had his season projected out that way. So to me, I feel like we're going with Josh Simmons right here. I like that pick for Tua. I think that that's what they want to do. They want to invest there. They don't want to make anything I think worse for him.
That's crazy. The fall that Tyler Warren has taken is crazy.
No, I think this is his natural place in the draft. He's a great tight end prospect. He deserves to be a first rounder. But tell me, this is kind of the one pick that feels the most shock to me. Who led the Indianapolis Colts last year in receptions, and how many receptions did they have in the tight end position?
Was it
From Indianapolis?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like
who
was
led in
leading?
receptions for tight ends or their leading receiver?
Was it Will Mallory?
Nope.
Was it
And
wait,
guess how many receptions they had too?
I don't even know who their tight end is actually.
It was Kyle Granson
Oh wow.
with 14 receptions.
Oh
led
my
their
God.
entire room.
Oh,
So
you know Chris Ballard's going crazy for Tyler Warren.
Tyler Warren is the pick here.
Yeah.
It's so obvious. And
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Falcons.
You know, these bastards should have lost their first round pick last year, or this year, because of the colluding they did with Kirk Cousins. I'm still salty about that because that was like right before us, and we should have gotten either a pick swap or whatever. But you know, whatever the case was for this year. But I think the Falcons, they need help on defense. They still have a decent offensive line. They have good weapons. Kyle Pitts, hopefully one day he works out.
Maybe we're still waiting for that one.
Gosh, see, this is the part of the draft where I'm like, man, it gets really, really nasty.
Yeah, these next three teams I feel like all have the same need, and we're going to see the same three players. Just don't know which way.
Because I think like best player available right now, just pure best player available, is Jihad Campbell. But I don't think like the need for middle linebacker is completely there. They just lost Grady Jarrett. They drafted Mike Penix last year. They got Rook Oro, all those. They had a pretty solid draft that I like in terms of names. They re-signed their cornerback. They still have their fine at safety. Honestly, let's go Jihad Campbell. It's kind of high for me. I just think that he's the best prospect available right now over the Milwaukee Starks and whoever PFF has. I don't agree with their top 100 board or their
This
big
is a
board.
50-50. This is between public and PFF. Yeah,
It
so
just
it's
seems
not.
a lot more PFF-y from what I've seen. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Jihad Campbell just because they have a need for linebacker. They could probably do without it, but let's go Jihad Campbell, best player available.
Yeah, I feel like it's Jihad or maybe even Michael Williams, who's kind of like one of those players that didn't have much production, but you like his measurables.
Yeah.
Going over the Cardinals. Cardinals made some noises offseason. They grabbed Josh Sweat from the Eagles.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's a pretty big deal in terms of shoring up their defensive line. And where do you think they're going with this one, Adil?
There's a big glaring one right here, right in the middle. You got Kenneth Grant over playing the nose tackle, the run stuffing role here. I think Kenneth Grant is so athletic that they can kind of push him anywhere from, nose tackle to the three technique. I know that Wasé doesn't really agree there, but I think Kenneth Grant is he's so big, he's so athletic, he's able to chase down running backs from behind, like just going full speed here. I like Kenneth Grant as someone who was overshadowed by someone else who was maybe just slightly better than him. I think that's the reason why Kenneth Grant isn't like talked about as like one of the top prospects. But if he wasn't playing next to Mason Graham, I think he'd be a top 15 pick nonetheless. So I like Kenneth Grant right here.
I like Kenneth Grant too. I thought he'd be, would maintain his draft stock, but when he posted, his RAS numbers were just so awful for someone that was touted to be like a Don Terry Poe like nose tackle. That's kind of why I was like, oh man, it kind of sucks. But he's obviously the film is great for him.
You know what's crazy? I think the Don Terry Poe comparison that like dipped his stock more than this tape. Does that make sense? Like I feel like someone just threw that out there. No, because I feel like what it was is that it kind of pigeonholed him. Okay, well this is what he's capable of, and his raw score was low, so you know what? That's why he shouldn't be considered one of the top ones. I think that comparison did him in more than the tape. If that makes more sense.
I also feel like he plays a lot quicker and more agile than his size, and that
for sure
doesn't allow him to get the kind of praise that somebody of his athleticism deserves.
Yeah, a guy 340 pounds, 6'4", 6'3", whatever, should not be moving the way that he moves. He's incredible.
And I think another reason why he fell. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think that the Cardinals could have used somebody like a Jihad Campbell if he fell to them. Because I mean, you're throwing out like Mac Wilson out there.
Yeah.
You have but this helps because you have an aged Calais Campbell and like Dalvin Tomlinson. So this would give you kind of like not necessarily a blue chip, but a starter probably from day one.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is the reason why I think Kenneth Grant was also falling is because as far as his pass rush is concerned, outside of that first move that he makes, he pretty much like if he gets stuffed, that's kind of it. Now he's just clogging up the area, trying to make sure that nobody is getting free, no lanes are being created at that point. That's the reason why people are putting him so low. That okay, well, so
Yeah,
long as he
because
gets that pass rush going, he might be someone that's worth it, but not enough for them to draft that high.
yeah, he's a two gapper at his ceiling, at his floor. I'm sorry, but he could be a plus size, plus not plus size, but a plus pass rushing type of interior D line. Hopefully like Dexter Lawrence or something like that. That's probably the dream. But yeah, I think it's a smart pick with an aging Dalvin Thompson, Calais Campbell.
Yeah.
I thought Calais Campbell went back to Miami. No, or no,
No,
or
he
was he
came back
already?
for the 18th year.
Wow,
He's
okay,
back.
cool.
So we're at the Bengals, and now the Bengals again following the same trend of defenders that they need, right? They have Trey Hendrickson that's kind of in limbo. And a guy that I like here, well, there's two guys that I like here, but without kind of, I just like the ceiling so much for Shamar Stewart that I'm going to take him over Donovan Ezeraku here. I think that his measurables are, he could have one of those like blow up productions or productive stats in the NFL and just be maybe the best edge in this draft. He has that potential. And for that reason, with the contract issues with Trey Hendrickson, you've already shored up so much money with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Burrow. You don't really have much cap space to roam around and get a bunch of guys to fill one spot or to really add to your depth. So Shamar Stewart's the pick here. Great measurables, and I think he'll have a productive NFL career, especially pairing him with Trey Hendrickson. I think that'll help him a lot.
Yeah, you hope so. I mean, I think like the same thing happened with them when they drafted Miles Murphy. I don't know if you guys remember Miles Murphy from 2 years ago.
But Murphy also had a downward college career. Like when he was coming out of high school, he was touted as a 5-star.
Yeah, but
he started Clemson great, and then he just nosedived.
The lack of production just makes me so nervous. It just why?
His whole career
Why?
is crazy. I don't think he should be as high as people have him, but I mean, I think this is part of the draft where again, like everyone's kind of weighted the same, and you kind of want to judge whose floor is higher, who has a good starting floor, and then who can be obviously whose ceiling can project that to be better. Shamar Stewart, I think he's a little bit more. If you're willing to bet what's your pick, I think he's the right pick. But I think is it Stewart or Turner? Am I missing? Because I know there's two of them.
Stewart.
Other thing that goes kind of under the radar with Shamar Stewart, he's an excellent run defender.
Yeah,
and he showed that in college.
Yeah.
So baseline floor, you're taking a great run defender. On top of that, if he can develop his pass rush game, you have a star right in the midst of your basically end of the mid first round.
Yeah. And the good thing is versatility. He can play inside too. I think he played a lot more 4-eye than he did play 5 or 6. I'm forgetting. I think they hired that Notre Dame defensive coordinator, right? The Bengals did. I don't know what his name is, but let's hope he has something in Shamar Stewart that he likes, and ends up being a good pick because the Bengals can't miss on defense this year.
Oh no,
Al Golden, who served as
the
the team's linebackers coach 2021, and then DC at Notre Dame until last year.
All right, so the Seahawks made a bunch of noise this offseason, trading away DK Metcalf. They got rid of Geno Smith. And they're kind of
stockpiled a bunch of picks
here.
Let's take a look at all their picks they have this year. Look at all these picks that they have. They got 20, 51, 85, 122. They're gonna retool pretty well here.
Yeah.
So Wasé, where do you think they're going?
Is it me or is it you?
I just went.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah. With the Seahawks, I don't think they go wide receiver right now, especially. I think
Golden's on the board.
Matthew Gold's on the board, but I still wouldn't go with a receiver right now. I think there's a lot of good value for a receiver in day 2, especially in the second round, and they have 2 second-round picks. You don't need an alpha one already. I think JSM's already on his way to becoming that number one option for them. I think for them, what they mainly need is offensive line help.
Especially interior.
Especially in the interior. I don't like. I think their tackles are Charles Cross and then Abraham Lucas on the right side. I think. I don't know who their guards are. But I think, man, I hate Kelvin Banks so much as a prospect. No offense to Kelvin Banks, I just don't know how to do with this tape with how easy Sark made it for him in terms of being on an island. Dale, who's on the board for O line?
Interior or tackle?
Let's do interior.
Interior, you have guys like Greg Zabel. You got
Greg Zabel's too
Tyler
high for
Booker. Tyler Booker had a terrible testing.
Yeah, go back. Go
So
up.
Gray Zabel is listed as a tackle here. We have Tyler Booker
Yeah, too
as
high for him.
your top
Let's
prospect,
go
and then as far as tackles are concerned,
The crazy thing is they had Jackson Powers Johnson in their grasp last year, and they passed up on him.
Yeah, because the Raiders took him. I would go Calvin Banks and switch him to guard. I think you can put him to guard right now. I try him out at tackle, I guess, but I think he's drafted high enough right now where you don't have to play him at tackle. Just place him straight up at guard. I think he's a better guard than he would be a left tackle.
All right, the Bucks at 19. Adil, let's go.
in the interest of saving time here, I do like a player and a little bit of a reach here. I think Michael Williams is a good pick right here. I think that
Yeah, I like that.
this guy's been a athletic force. I mean, coming from the Georgia defense, I just don't see anything right here outside of James Pierce and a very small Donovan Izariku, who did play, but not always against the best competition. James Pierce with the character issues, I think he falls out, and I think that leaves Michael Williams to be picked out right here.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I think it's between Ezraku and Michael.
Really, over James Pierce Jr.? Man,
Everyone is putting something out. Like, I don't know what's going on here or what happened, or maybe he just doesn't have the good publicist. Oh God, it's terrible.
You want
he's a
your
PR
edge to be
nightmare.
kind of like a little, off his wire. Especially for that defense where there's a lot of speed element in the 3-4 with Todd Bowles. I think James Pierce Jr. makes the most sense, but Michael Williams, obviously, he has a solid floor as a run defender. I don't know how the Bucks were run defense wise, but I think they also need help. They just need pass rush help in general.
The Bucks are pretty solid as far as run defense was concerned. I think that they lost their defensive line coach recently. He came over to the Lions. I feel like they also didn't they lose. Who did they lose on the line there? I feel like they lost
They
someone.
got Levante David back.
I think they still. I mean,
Did they get rid of Joe Tryon Shoyinka?
Who?
Joe Tryon Shoyinka.
I don't know. I do think they need edge regardless. I think Shaq Barrett is no longer there. Devin White's no longer there. Devin White's been gone.
Yeah, Devin White's been gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this would have been. This is where Jihad is being mocked. Actually, quite honestly,
he's being mocked.
And Michael Williams is being mocked a little bit higher than this. So I mean, I think I was just kind of happy to see him here.
Yeah, and they brought in Hassan Reddick.
Oh, did they? Oh,
yeah,
they
brought in Hassan Reddick. So I think they would want to go more for that traditional linebacker, especially like as the Levante David replacement. But as seeing here, there's nobody really available. For the Denver Broncos, they did a great job retooling their roster. I mean, I feel like they're in a position where they can choose somebody based on luxury. Yeah. And there's a lot of ways they can go here. I'm going to probably give them man, they got pretty good edge production out of Nick Bonito. Jonathan Cooper was good last year. I'm debating pulling the trigger on Malachi here, or maybe even going a Matthew Golden to pair with Cortland Sutton. I feel like that would give them the speed and an X that they could use as a wide receiver too. There's also Colson Loveland, who's here as one of the top-tier tight ends. So I'm going to probably go there. I know they brought in Evan Ingram, but Colson Loveland looks to be that guy. and I'm gonna give him to the Denver Broncos.
Oh, do they? They got rid of Javonte Williams also. Oh man,
Yeah,
I
they
think
could have gone
Omar.
and
think
gotten
I
him.
think I think
I
running
think
back was the move there. I think that I could see Denver reaching for Amari Hampton or even trading
I
back.
don't think he doesn't do it though. I don't see him doing it in the first round.
yeah.
Yeah,
When was
I
the
mean,
last time?
like that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, but I think they will go day 2 running back for sure.
Yeah.
I just don't see them doing it here. With the Pittsburgh Steelers, here we go. Is this the Shedeur Sanders landing spot?
I think
Nope.
no. I think it's not gonna be Shadur Sanders. I mean,
He's on the board
maybe
still, right?
Shadur is on
Hey,
the board.
Wasé, do it. I
Yeah.
know what you're thinking, and I think you should do it.
I don't even know if you think what I'm thinking, but I'm thinking about Jackson Dart.
That's exactly what the hell I was thinking about. What are you talking about, baby? I was thinking, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Dart, okay.
Dude, I love Jackson Dart. He's like a high risk, high reward player, man. If he pans out,
Oh man, but you gotta
he's
know that once they take Jackson Dart, if he doesn't pan out, it's gonna be Kenny Pickett all over again in
no,
Pittsburgh.
but he's not even the same. He's a much better prospect than Kenny Pickett was. Kenny Pickett
Kenny
wasn't ready.
Pickett coming out of school was, yeah, he was not even really highly touted.
Yeah, and he was the number 1 quarterback draft of that draft, and was in such a shitty quarterback draft. This is a bad quarterback draft too, but I love what I see out of Jackson Dart. He has a cannon of an arm. He can layer passes. He is athletic. He's so clutch. Man, I love that Ole Miss team so much. I love that Ole Miss team from top to bottom. It was such a good team.
Yeah, but
Absolutely.
how much was the team and the scheme? I mean, Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, but I still think like top to it's such a talented roster. It's not like they were like the best at anything. Like they didn't have a great running back. I wish Quinshawn stayed there for another year. Trey Harris and Antoine Wells. Is it Trey Harris and Antoine Wells? Like good wide receiver duo. And it wasn't an elite duo. It wasn't like Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. Jackson Dart. I would be so
Are we
tempted to
going
take.
there?
Yeah, I'm going Jackson Dart. I keep hitting my mic, but yeah, I'd go Jackson Dart
Wow.
just to shake it up. I love Jackson Dart, man.
All
Let's
right.
go. Let's do it.
Jackson Dart at the number 21 overall pick. Let's do the Chargers. So the Chargers they need a pass catcher. In some capacity, they need a pass catcher. Aldo, where do you see them going?
Yeah. So I was gonna say that I think um, Quentin Johnston's time is up there. I mean, he did show some progression. I did not see that there was anything legitimate that was there. I thought that it was marginal for a top tier NFL receiver, or at least a number one. He hasn't shown that he can get there. Um, I think Matthew Golden's that guy.
Ooh,
I'll take Matthew Golden
over
here.
Buka
Yeah,
or
I think he's going to be
Yeah,
the second receiver off the board for sure. I think that's almost the
I
way
think
that
that's
it's
Matthew
trending.
Golden
I
right
don't even
there.
know why. I
I
like
mean,
Matthew
he had a
Golden. I like him a
great
lot.
40 time. He's got great measurables. He plays the
He
X.
he was
He drops
really
the ball a lot. He drops the ball a lot. He has like a 7.5% drop rate.
Yes,
I don't know.
Matthew Golden does drop the ball a lot, but I
Yeah,
felt like down the stretch when Isaiah Bond kind of regressed, Matthew Golden was there
He
to
did. Yeah,
keep a
he took over.
downfield threat going.
yeah,
And I just feel like that just showed that he was able to step up when he was challenged, when he was put in
yeah.
Yeah.
positions to
And Quinn
succeed.
Ewers so bad. Quinn Ewers is terrible. So you can't. It's really hard to
We
grade.
we disagree. We disagree there, but
What?
and I know
Oh
that
wow.
yeah, I love Quinn Ewers. I think that guy is freaking great.
What?
Yeah, I'm
You're the
listen.
first person
Well,
I've met that says they love Quinn Ewers. He's such a
It's funny
the
because the
problem with
Cowboys are almost in a similar spot with the Chargers, and I see them taking. Oh wow, Ezeraku is still here. That would be something to put him on the edge, but they've gone edge so much recently that I'm going to
yeah.
give them Magbuka.
Yeah, they actually need like a number 1 wide
I
receiver.
agree
Yeah,
here. I think Abuka is your guy. Makes
Yeah,
sense the most.
because Watson has not panned out to the way that they wanted him to be, and like he's just not. They just need a legitimate wide receiver number 1 for
Yeah.
Jordan Love.
Coming into our last 10 picks, our last 9 picks, so we've got the Vikings. Wasé, where do you see them going?
The Vikings, well, definitely not wide receiver. Edge, I don't think they need edge with Grenard and who they have last? Oh, just Grenard and what's his name?
No,
Ginkel.
the
Yeah, Van
Van
Javier.
Ginkel, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, and they still have Brian Flores, who's a Boston College alumni. They
They could use
retooled their O
corner. They got
line.
rid of Bynum.
They retooled their old line. They're gonna get Darisaw back. They have Brian O'Neill at right tackle. They got Ryan Kelly in the interior for the center spot, and I know they signed somebody else or drafted somebody else for their guard position or something like that. Forgetting who their other guard is, I can't remember. But yeah, honestly, I think they might just double down and go more edge help. Unless there's a cornerback out there, Siobhan Revel.
I'm highlighting Siobhan Ravel here because I
Yeah,
think
I can't
he's
see
a hell
them
of a
get.
player,
They got
but
Dallas
this is a
Turner,
big
Siobhan Reynolds.
reach.
Devon Revel, and then they
And
John Allen. They just got John Allen. James Pierce Jr. is still on the board too.
But they already
Man,
have Dallas Turner. They have Jonathan
oh,
Grenard. They have
they
Andrew
drafted Dallas from
Nicole.
last year. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Let's go.
Siobhan Revel.
Siobhan Revel. Yeah.
Cool. All right, the Texans at
so
25.
no Malachi Starks, by the way. I just wanted to put that out
I
there.
just think that he's gonna take a Brian Branch drop because just athletic score wise, not that it should matter as the end all be all. We just haven't seen someone with that poor of an athletic score get drafted in the first round. Actually, like that's why I don't think Tyler Booker, even though he should, he's a safe prospect. Even though Malachi prospect to me is a blue chip prospect,
Malachi
I don't
Starks.
think he's good. Man, I smell.
Yeah,
You said
Malachi
Malachi
Starks.
Oh, Malachi Starks. Uh, I I think he should be a number one first round draft pick, but I think he's gonna take a Brian Branch job. The same thing that happened to Branch like 2 years ago is what's probably gonna happen to Malachi Starks.
All right, so the Texans at 25.
And this is me. Okay, to me, I think this is kind of easy here. Gray Zabel
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
be here at some point, like anywhere on the line. If it doesn't work at
Yeah.
tackle, kick him inside. It's the most common thing in the NFL. If he's a little bit shorter, he's a little undersized, but he's mean. He's a strong, mean player. Like this guy doesn't kid around. I think if he was available there for the Lions, I would say that there's a good debate there that they can take him, but that's kind of a luxury pick for them. Right here, Gray Zabel's your guy. I think that they need to do better to keep CJ Stroud upright. CJ Stroud regressed because the line play was terrible. The offensive coordinator, I think Wasé and I were saying it from the beginning of last year. We hated what he had going on. We thought it was too simple, and we thought that there was going to be an immediate regression coming for
Yeah.
the Texans overall. But at least they, proved us wrong and showed that they were a well coached team. But they're going to need some prospects here. They traded away quite a bit. I think they have a good amount of draft capital as well, right?
Yeah.
They got a
Yeah.
lot
I
going
think
on
so.
this year. They got a lot going on this year.
Yeah, and
Um,
Gray Zabel can play any position, like on the offensive line. That's what people think. Like I think he can play right tackle. I don't think he has like the longest arms for tackle, but I think he can play right tackle. I think he can play guard and center too. So you can put him anywhere you want to. He's such a safe pick.
Yep. The Rams are on the clock now, and I do like the idea. They have so much depth on their defensive line, but the fact that I'm looking at Walter Nolan, Donovan Ezeraku right here, I am so tempted to pick one of those and James Pierce. I mean, can you imagine Jared Verse, Braden Fisk? I mean, Kobe
Byron
Turner,
Young, yeah.
Byron Young.
Yeah.
You just add to the names and it keeps going, and then you add one of these wreckers on the outside. And they could use corner help. I like Maxwell Harrison here. I think he tested very well. He's a name that I'm thinking about. But in the interest of where we're at in the draft right now, there's a certain team that has a huge, huge problem with their quarterback. They have a bunch of money, all guaranteed, tied up to a certain Deshaun Watson. And I'm talking about the Cleveland Browns, who I think are going to trade up from their pick in round 2 to draft Shedeur Sanders. I don't see a world where Shedeur exits
That big of a
round
jump.
1. And I think that the Rams have the luxury of being able to kind of sit back and draft.
what's it gonna take?
Players.
Hold on. Let me just challenge your thought process,
Sure.
right? You're talking about playoff teams from here on out moving forward. I mean, even the Rams need a change at quarterback, or they need a succession plan for quarterback. none of the next 10 teams are going to be drafting a quarterback. So why would you jump? Why would the Browns jump up back into the
Because
first
somebody
round?
like the Giants, somebody like the Seahawks, there are so many trade partners that can go into
Yeah.
this range and take Shador. So you're just beating them to it. The Browns are in a position where they're not able to dish out a bunch of money to their quarterback. If that's a signing, if that's another trade, they need to draft a quarterback for sure within the first 2 rounds. If it's not their first pick, it's going to be their second pick. I think they're going to play it safe here and make sure that
That's
they have their
wild.
guy. That'll take,
So
what is this, 25? So it's
the P
720.
the
Five.
PFF the board is not even
Right.
saying that the Rams are interested in trading the pick. That's how out of this
Yeah.
world this is. So what are we doing to force this trade?
I mean, it doesn't look like it takes a lot. It's just a 3.
It'd probably be a 3. It'd be it'd be close to what the Lions did last year to move up. It'll be a 3 and probably like a 5.
Um, okay.
Yeah,
So
you
we're
can
doing
use those.
33 and 104.
Yeah.
All right, I guess.
No, 33. No, I'm sorry. No,
Both
it's
of those picks.
a
Both of
third
those picks.
and a
1,
and
3,
fifth.
and 5.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jimmy Haslam isn't, immune to being fleeced on deals anyways. And this is a great deal for the Rams. So
This has like Johnny Manziel 2.0 written all over it.
I just think it's going to take some team to do this if we're not taking him here, and I think that it's got to happen in the first round. I mean, if Shador leaves the first round without being on a team, I would be stunned, and I think the entire NFL world will be stunned.
I think they will be just because he's Deion's kid, but I don't think he's that good of a prospect.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I'm not basing it off his prospect. I'm basing it more off the brand name. The Ravens here lost a lot. And they need help on the defensive line and corner. So where do you see them going here, Wasé?
Defensive line, they still have Madubuike. They don't have a legit edge rusher, no? I think they...
Nope.
Right here.
For me, James Pierce Jr. makes the most...
I mean, yeah, you could go either.
You could go either or. I like James Pierce Jr. a little bit better than Izaraku. James Pierce Jr. going to the Ravens would be like Jalen Carter going to like the Eagles, like just a good organization that can help develop talent. They don't really rely on him. They already have a great culture, a great front office, and a great coaching staff.
Yep.
For a guy like James Pierce Jr. to go to Baltimore, I think would be a godsend. So
awesome.
James Pierce Jr.
All right, Adil, the Lions, your team.
How did this pan out? That's what I want to know. How did this pan out?
Look, but
all right. I mean, if we were doing more than one round, I would probably mess around a little bit here.
I think there's a pick right there.
I think my problem is that the Lions, when they have shown that they need to address edge defender, they have passed up that option quite literally just because they feel like they have good depth on the line. And I agree. As far as the depth is concerned, when they're healthy, it's fine. But the problem was that you have a situation like last year in which everyone was dropping. Like, I think there was 5 defensive linemen that fell like last year. I don't know exactly how the Lions could do this and that they would let something go, especially with someone who is as polished as Donovan Izaraku.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I
but
completely agree.
But I think that with the issues in the cornerback room, I think that they would like to have Brian Branch play between nickel and safety, depending on what look they would rather go for. I think that that's also a possibility, and to have Malachi Starks come in and with the upcoming payment coming up, where you're paying everybody here, are you really going to pay Kirby Joseph? And granted, he's an All-Pro, but
you're gonna pay
push comes to shove, like you've got the Aiden Hutchinson deal coming up, right? On top of that, you're gonna have to start paying people on the offensive side. You're gonna have to pay Sam Laporta or James Williams. Like, people have to go. They drafted well, and people are going to go at some point. Wow. And I feel like Malachi Starks is a good option here. And I think that if we were doing a longer term draft, if we're doing more rounds, I would go further, and I
Well,
would
just
kind
pretend
of
like we're doing a longer term draft, just so you don't get
the
dumped.
what the? I mean, think about what
listen.
you just went through with all the injuries. You brought in your best player on your defense went down, and you couldn't fix it.
Yeah, you could
And
have a
right
nosebleed, man.
here, you're able to pair that best player with Aleem McNeil, with DJ Reader, with Zadarius Smith. You
Smith is
bring in he's gone.
Darius Smith is gone, right? I think they
Yeah,
released him, no?
the
Yeah.
Darius Smith has been released, but
So again,
from
but
what
you
I
don't
from
have
my
anybody
understanding,
opposite Aiden.
I mean, you bring back Marcus Davenport again at a very cheap deal, right? And it's like one of those situations in which
Brother.
you're getting a good player cheaper and cheaper every single time. You're gonna get
Marcus
Zadarius. I think
Davenport
they're gonna
can't stay on the field. He's already
listen.
on IR. He's not coming back.
That's no,
Let
they
us help
re-signed him.
you.
Hold on,
But
hold
aren't
on,
you?
hold on.
I'm saying like he's not somebody you rely on.
Aren't you also worried that Malachi Stark's playstyle is very similar to Brian Branch?
Yeah, I would say that it's very similar, and I could say that if we get a solid footing in the cornerback room where Malachi is better at nickel, or it's Brian Branch better at nickel, whatever it might be, at least you'll have solid starters there rather than a rotation like how it has been. I'm saying that that
All
is
right.
an option here.
All
If I
right.
and
Do you, boo-boo.
fur, furthermore, if I was actually going to do a longer term draft, I would definitely punt edge defender, and I would actually go inside if I could, inside defensive
With
lineman
Aleem
in
McNeil
order
and DJ
in
Reader
order
already
in
on
order in order to replace DJ Reader in the future.
All right.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, this is a deep
There you go.
nose tackle
I
draft,
want to
but you
hear
don't.
what the people of Detroit think about this pick.
It's like 2023 draft all over again when they drafted like Jack Campbell at 18.
All right.
Right. So when they
And
so drafting good players who then play meaningful minutes and contribute in meaningful ways.
my guy,
Like
it just Malachi Starks does not make sense when you have like two all pro level players
And
already
you
at the
spent so
position.
much draft
I
capital
just
last
I
year
just
On
don't
on
corner.
corner.
Yeah, the
yeah.
secondary is fine. The fact that you went secondary outside of
I think
I
the
mean,
secondary
yeah,
Good prospects.
edge.
on this there is a lot of I think prospects from an edge defender standpoint, something that fits the Lions mold, which they're not looking for someone who's a pass rushing specialist. They are
Of
looking
course
for
not.
someone
Yep.
who helps in the run game as well. Donovan Izaraku fits that mold, but I think they would find that value later on, and I think there's been names that are been tied to it. I would specifically mention, and then I'll wrap it
Okay.
up right after
So,
this.
so
But
yeah,
I would mention Oluwatomi, I don't know how to say this name.
yeah.
Oladejo, right?
Yeah, he's good. I
That
like him a lot.
this name, David Walker from Central Arkansas, is someone that I think is also going to have good value there. I truly don't think the Lions draft a defensive lineman in the first round.
Okay. That's fine.
Or I'm
Just
sorry, a
drafting a
defensive
safety.
edge, sorry, in the first round. The Lions will not draft an edge in the first round. Put it in
Okay,
stone.
we'll see. We'll see.
All right. To round this out real quick, I know this took a lot longer than expected, but the Commanders obviously are going to take an edge here when he's been gifted to them. I'm going Donovan Ezaraku.
Really?
Pretty simple. I don't think that they have. I mean, he's the best player on the board. They could go Derek Harmon. I like Derek Harmon a lot. He's one of my favorite interior defenders, and he can rush the passer. And I feel like not many interior defenders play to his level of physicality. So I like Derek Harmon a lot, but I'm going to go with Donovan Ezraku because I feel like I just like his talent, and I feel like he's fallen way too far on this board, and Washington needs an edge defender. But you know what? Walter Nolan and Derek Harmon can both be in the conversation
But they
due to
already
the
have
fact that they
Payne.
just lost Jonathan Allen, though.
Yeah, but they have Payne and they have Jazon Newton from last year, and he was really good as a rookie.
Yeah.
So
We're talking about an
think
edge defender. Jerzon, I mean, they're going to need help all over the line, to be honest. I didn't see anything special. I thought that was one of their biggest weaknesses. To address it with Donovan Ezraku was probably a good call here. I mean, Walter
yeah, and
Nolan's
they
a great
lost
player, too.
Fowler.
Yeah.
They lost Fowler this year in free agency. Who else did they lose? They didn't. I don't think they had a lot of edge help in general. Yeah.
Let's go to the Bills.
Oh, the Bills. Okay, cool. This is me, right?
Yeah.
What do the Bills need, man?
Wide
Jesus.
receiver.
They need receiver for sure, but they
also
got
could use a
key.
corner.
Yeah, they could use a corner, but I also don't want to do that.
Benjamin Morrison, Maxwell Hairston could be here.
No.
Luther Burden is like every receiver that they have on the team right now. I feel like
No, Luther Burden's more like DJ Moore. Like when I
but he
watched,
plays so much smaller.
he's like a Debo type player.
Like a Trey Harris could work here. You love
Trey Harris
this
in the
team.
first round is high, man.
It is high. It
Oh,
is high.
to me, even Izrako's high in the first round. That's just me. I don't agree with PFF's rankings, but I'm gonna try to use what I see from them. If I was the Bills, I don't need a tight end. I don't need a running back. I need corner pretty badly. Notre Davis White, and they just re-signed their one guy. What's that guy? Christian Brentford.
Yeah, and he sucked.
No, he wasn't bad. He was good.
You remember the playoff game where he was?
You can't just use a playoff game for just that though. Poyer's coming back. Their linebackers are okay. Obviously, no one linebacker that drafted at this point in the draft. I'm trying to think, man. And Oliver's there. They play a 4-3. You know what? Give me Derek Harmon
to pair with that Oliver.
Yeah, right next to Oliver.
Best player available.
Yeah, to me, I think it'd be Harmon. Walter Nolan is just not. I think
The Chiefs had a bunch of issues in the Super Bowl come up, and they got absolutely ransacked. Adil, where did they go here?
Well, here's my thing with the Chiefs. I don't think they go here. I think someone trades up into this spot right here. Sorry. Let me see who would fit this play, because I want a player to go here, and I'm trying to fit a team who would be desperate enough to come up and do that.
I also am in the same boat.
Who are you picking? I mean, what were you saying?
I think that there is a blue chip player that's here. He is my favorite player in the draft, and his name is Nick Emanwari. And I feel like he is one of those athletic freaks that any team would be really smart to draft. I think he might be the best safety in this class. I think he is the best safety in this class. I think he might be the best perimeter player in this draft. And it's just about to fit for me. I really liked Emanwari to the Bucks for some reason, but he would fit on the Vikings as a potentially a Harrison Smith replacement. So, and I hate that the Vikings keep taking players that I want, but
who would you jump up? I think Emanwari in the first is rich too, but who's jumping up to get Emanwari in the first?
Yeah, I just don't. I'm debating if the need is there. I'd like to see him in the first. I just love his play style. I mean, he's an absolute freak. Physically just gifted.
I think
so. I'm actually going in another direction here. I think the Texans are going to come up. I don't think the Vikings are going to come up at all. And I think the reason why is because they have limited capital to begin with all the stuff, all the moves that they pulled last year. I think the Texans come up here. I think the Texans are pretty desperate here, and they come up to take Josh Connerly.
After already taking Greg Zabel?
Did we have? Oh shoot! Oh my God! I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought the Texans had something else going on. Can we undo that?
Again, Connerly in the first is wild too, in my opinion.
All right. Well, that's one of those things where we have one of those oopsies, and we think that here's my thing. I just didn't think that here's my reasoning for the Kansas City Chiefs moving out.
Oh no, Adil's having a nightmare.
Hey, these things happen. I'm okay with it. It's late in the day. It's 11 p.m. where I am. We got work in the morning.
What would happen do you think the Chiefs trade out of it? And if they don't,
yeah. So I just don't think the Chiefs are going to come on in and reach for a few of the guys over here. I think that if they were to pick anyone, I think it would be someone on the interior line. And I don't think with Greg Zabel not being there anymore, I would have picked Tyler Booker if anything, but I thought it was just too rich for pick 31. And I thought that the Texans being desperate enough to move on and go on and grab someone, I thought that that's what they would do. And brain fart, we all make mistakes, and that's okay.
That's okay.
I do like Walter Nolan to the Chiefs. I feel like they could use the help as an heir apparent to Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Pair him up with Karlaftis. I feel like that's a good play. We'll pretend that that's there. And then, so we'll round it out with the Eagles. You know who's great for the Eagles here? Nick Scourton. Probably one of the best potentials in the draft to be the best edge. I like him a lot. I also like Darius Alexander. There can go either which way.
Darius Alexander is 25 when the season starts, so I think he's a little too old to be a first-round pick.
But
Scourton, I like to I think Scourton could go higher than that. I think he's a great pick. They've lost.
Scourton is a trade back candidate for me for the Bears.
Is it Scourton? Scourton, no?
Is it?
I thought. I don't know.
Probably.
Scourton, yeah.
Oh.
I like the Bears as a trade back candidate. The Bears could take him.
If I was the Bears, I'd jump up if he lasted that long. That's how much I like Nick Scourton.
Yeah.
Scourton.
You want to do it?
Draft out. Let's go.
Hold on.
I think the Eagles take him because I think that they have to find a replacement for Josh Sweat. Do you have any other insight?
No Josh Sweat. No Brandon Graham.
No Milton Williams. They could go Walter Nolan here, but we gave Walter Nolan.
Yeah, they already got Jalen Carter. They already got that guy, so they don't even need.
And they have Jordan Davis.
Yeah, that's 2 first-round picks into Georgia defensive interior D line. Yeah, I think edge is safe for them. Did they sign anyone in free agency for edge?
Don't think so.
Oh yeah. I think Scourton is the right pick.
Cool.
I think makes most sense.
And that just about rounds out our draft and our first episode of Into the Wild.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. You can see we'll have this posted on our Instagram to show you the full mock draft, and you can roast and go in on all the crazy picks from the jump, because this is one of the wackier mock drafts. I think we're also going to do our own separate mock drafts later on in the next couple weeks before the draft approaches. We're also going to do some live stream recaps when the actual days come. We'll be watching the drafts together. Fortunately, our co-host Adil will be in the Holy Land during the draft, so maybe he'll make dua for his lines to not do what he's telling them to do. But other than that, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Well, can we round out our picks real quick, Adil? You want to read them off?
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, the Bears land Mason Graham. I'll be the happiest guy.
And he fell. I mean, he fell all the way to 8. So it's not like we're just some homers that we are the Bears.
No, you guys are homers, because what Wasé did is, even though Will Johnson, corner is a need for the Raiders, they would go with Mason Graham there. There's no reason for them to not take Mason Graham.
They've already signed Wilkins. They already have Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby.
You can go back and forth and criticize the first literally 15 picks.
Picking Malachi Starks at the 25th pick, bro.
But that 28th pick.
That'll do it for our first episode. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow all of our socials. You can follow all of us individually. We'll post our socials here. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we're so excited for this journey, and stay tuned for the ride.
Thank you so much.
Hut, hut, hey!